future goals.
We've heard that
Welcome,
scientists
Lori.
have been wanting to bring Martian samples
Now,
back
as you just heard, we've heard that
for
scientists have been wanting to bring
generations.
back these
And here
Martian
to talk a
samples
little
for
bit
a
about that
very
is
long
NASA's
time.
Planetary
Why do we need
Science
to bring them
Division
back?
Director Lori
That's
Glaze,
really a
who joins us
great
now
question.
to talk about
You
the
know,
role
we actually
perseverance
have
will play
examples
in
of Mars
NASA's
already
future
here on
goals.
Earth that came
Welcome,
here as
Lori.
meteorites.
Hi.
But we don't know
Now,
exactly
as you
where
just
they
heard,
came
we've heard
from
that
on
scientists
Mars,
have been
and then they
wanting to bring
also
back these
had to
Martian
make the trip
samples
from
for
Mars
a
to Earth,
very
and so
long
they
time.
got
Why do
altered
we need
during
to
that
bring them
time, and
back?
then during their
That's
entry
really
into
a
the
great
Earth's
question.
atmosphere.
You
That
know,
also
we actually have
changes what
examples
those
of
Mars
are
already
like.
here on
So
Earth
being
that came
able
here
to
as
go to
meteorites.
Mars
But
and
we don't know
actually
exactly where
collect
they
the
came
sample
from
where
on
we know
Mars, and then
exactly
they
where it
also
came from,
had to make the
and we
trip
know
from Mars to
we
Earth,
can
and so they
preserve it and
got
keep it
altered during
pristine
that
and
time,
carry
and
it
then
all the way
during
back
their
here.
entry and
This
descent
will be
into the
incredibly
Earth's
important
atmosphere
to
that
help
helps
us
us
answer questions
changes
about
what those rocks are
the
like.
geologic
So being
history
able
of
to
Mars,
go to
understanding
Mars and
how it
actually
formed and evolved,
collect a
and
sample
also
where we know
really
exactly
important
where it
questions
came
about
from,
whether or not
and we know
life
we can
actually
preserve it
existed
and
on
keep
Mars
it pristine
3.5 billion
and carry
years
it all the
ago,
way
and
back
whether
here.
that life,
This
if it
will be
existed, has been
incredibly
preserved
important to
in the
help us
surface
answer
of Mars.
questions about
Now,
the
Lori,
geologic
these sample
history
tubes
of
that
Mars,
Perseverance is going to be
understanding how it
collecting,
formed
they're
and
the
evolved,
cleanest
and
things
also
ever
really
created on
important
Earth. Tell me a
questions
little bit
about
about
whether
that.
or not
Oh my goodness.
life
We
actually
worked
existed
so
on Mars
hard.
3.5
The
billion
team
years
here at
ago, and whether
JPL
that
is
life, if it
absolutely
existed, has
incredible
been
to
preserved
assure
in the
that
surface
those
of Mars. sample tubes are
Now,
incredibly
Lori,
clean.
these sample
One of the
tubes
main
that
goals
Perseverance
of
is
this
going to be
mission is
collecting, they're
to
the
be able to
cleanest
detect
things
if
ever created
there's
on Earth.
actual
Tell me a little
life
bit
that's
about that.
preserved,
Oh my goodness.
ancient
We
life
worked
preserved
so
in those
hard.
rocks, in
The
those
team here at
samples,
JPL
and we
is
definitely don't
absolutely
want to be
incredible
carrying
to
our
assure
own
that those
DNA
sample
off to
tubes
Mars
are
and then bring it back here to
incredibly
confuse
clean.
our
One of the
scientists when
main
they're trying to
goals
study
of
those
this
samples.
mission
So
is to
it is
be able to
incredibly
detect
clean
if there's
set
actual
of
life that's
equipment that's been
preserved,
sent there, as you
ancient
said, the
life
cleanest thing
preserved
we've
in
ever
those
sent into
rocks,
space.
in those samples, and we
Now, this
definitely
is
don't
a
want to be
very
carrying
complicated
our own
campaign.
DNA
Can you break down
off
for
to
us
Mars
how
and then
it's
bring it
going
back
to
here to
work, and
confuse
if there's
our
any
scientists when they're
international
trying to
partners
study those
working with us?
samples. So
You are correct.
it is
The Mars sample return
set
campaign
of
is
equipment that's been
incredibly
sent there.
complex.
As
In
you
fact,
said,
it's
the cleanest
probably
thing
the
we've
most
ever
challenging
sent into
thing we've
space.
ever tried to do.
Now, this
But
is
we're
a very
definitely not going to try and
complicated
do it alone.
campaign. Can you
We
break
have
down for us
great
how it's
partners
going to
with
work,
the
and if there's
European
any
Space
international
Agency.
partners working
And
with
the
us?
way this campaign is going to work,
The
well,
Mars sample
Perseverance is the
return
first step.
campaign
Chapter
is
1
incredibly
is going
complex.
to
In fact,
Mars
it's
and collecting
probably
the
the most
samples.
challenging thing
Chapter
we've
2
ever
is
tried
going
to
to
do.
be
A
but we're
sample
definitely
return
not going to
lander
try and
that
do
we
it
hope to
alone.
launch in around
We have
26 to
great
28,
partners with
2026 to
the
2028.
European Space
And that
Agency.
lander,
And the way
will be
this
an American
campaign
lander
is going to
carrying
work, well,
a
Perseverance is
fetch
the
rover
first
that's
step.
provided
Chapter
by
1
European Space
is
Agency,
going to
and that
Mars
little
and
fetch
collecting
rover
the
will drive
samples.
out
Chapter
and pick
2
up the
is going to
samples that
be
Perseverance
a sample
left on the
return
surface
lander
of
that
Mars.
we hope to launch
The
in
fetch rover
around
will bring them
26
back
to
and load them
28,
into
2026 to
a rocket that we call the
2028.
Mars
And that
Ascent
lander,
vehicle, which will be the
it'll
first
be an
ever
American
launch
lander
from another
carrying
planet,
a
and
fetch
it will
rover
launch
that's
those
provided by
samples
European
into orbit
Space
around
Agency.
Mars.
And that little
In the
fetch rover will
meantime,
drive
European
out
Space
and
Agency
pick up
will
the
have
samples
an
that
order
Perseverance left
that's
on
in
the
orbit
surface
around
of Mars
that can
The
rendezvous
fetch rover will
and
bring them
capture
back and
those
load them
samples
into
and then
rocket
bring
that
them
we call
back
the
to
Mars
Earth
Ascent
for
vehicle, which
us
will be
to
the
study
first
back
ever
here in
launch
our
from another
amazing
planet.
laboratories.
And it will launch those samples into
A lot
orbit
of
around
firsts,
Mars.
it sounds like,
In the
Lori,
meantime,
and another
European
first,
Space
how is
Agency will have an
Perseverance and the
orbiter
Mars sample
that's
return
in orbit
mission
around
going
Mars
to
that
help
can
the future
rendezvous and
exploration,
capture
human
those samples
exploration of Mars?
and then bring them back
so
to
glad
Earth
you asked
for-
that. I
for
think
us
we're
to
going to
study
get back
a
here in
lot
our
of
amazing laboratories.
Great information from Mars sample return.
A lot of
with,
firsts, it
again,
sounds
being
like,
able to
Lori,
land
and
the
another
heaviest
first,
payload
how
we've
is
ever landed on
Perseverance
Mars
and the
will
Mars
be that
sample
sample
return
return
mission
lander that's
going to help
critical
the future
to us learning
exploration,
how to
human
land humans on
exploration
Mars.
of
And then we are definitely
so
going to
glad
want to
you
be able
asked
to
that. I
launch
think
the
we're
humans
going to
back
get
off
a
of
lot
Mars, so that
of
Mars Ascent
great
vehicle is
information from Mars
critical
sample
that
return
first step
with,
of the first
again,
launch
being able
from
to
another
land
planet.
the heaviest payload we've ever
So
landed on Mars
exciting,
will be
Lori.
that
And
sample
speaking
return
about the
lander
Mars
that's critical
generation,
to
we're
us
now going
learning
to
how
take
to
a
land
student
humans on
question
Mars,
for
and then
you
we are
from
definitely
Livia.
going to want to be able to launch the humans
Hi,
back
my name
off
is
of
Livia,
Mars, so
and
that
my
Mars Ascent
question
Vehicle
is,
is going to
what
be
made you
critical,
want to
that
study
first
Mars,
step of
and
the
why
first
are you
launch
working
from
so hard
another planet.
and willing to wait so
So
long for a
exciting,
sample? Thank
Lori.
you.
And speaking about the Mars generation, we're
Oh,
now going
Olivia,
to
that
take
is
a
such
student
great
question for you
and
from
and
Livia.
I enjoy Mars just because it
Hi, my
can
name
tell
is
us
Olivia,
so
and my
much about how
question
our
is,
solar
what
system
made you
formed and
want to
evolved.
study Mars,
All of the
and
planets
why
can
are you
tell us
working
different
so
parts
hard
of that
and
story, and
willing,
Mars is a
to
really
wait
key
so long
piece
for a
of that.
sample?
And
Thank
one of the
you.
main reasons we're willing to wait so long to get
Olivia,
the
that is
sample sample
such
back
a great question.
is that we've got
and
great
I
new
enjoy
scientists
Mars
that are
just
all
because
about
it
your
can
age,
tell us
and in
so
about
much about
10
how
or
our
15
solar
or 20
system
years,
formed and
you'll be the
evolved.
generation
All
that's
of the
going to
planets can tell
actually
us
get
different
to
parts
work
of
with
that
these
story, and
samples.
Mars is a really
when
key
they come
piece of
back,
that.
you will be.
And one
the
of the main
scientists
reasons
and
we're willing
engineers
to
that
wait
will,
so long
will be
to get the
next
sample
generation
back is
to
that
change
we've
how we
got
think
great
about
new scientists that are
Mars
all
and
about
how we
your
think
age,
about
and in
life in
about
the solar system.
10 or 15 or 20 years,
That
you'll
was
be
a
the
great
generation
question,
that's
Lori.
going to
Reach
actually
for the
get
stars,
to work with these
future little
samples.
scientists and
When they come
engineers.
back,
Thank you
you'll
so
be
much for
the
joining us
scientists
here
and
today, Lori.
engineers that
My
will,
pleasure.
will be
Thanks.
the
Back
the
to you,
next
Raquel, for
generation
another mission
to
update.
change how we think
Thanks,
about
Marina.
about
The
Mars
cruise
and how we
team
think
for
about life
Perseverance
in the
controls
solar
the
system.
rover on its way to Mars.
That was
and
a great
moments
question,
ago,
Lori.
they
Reach for
handed
the
it over
stars,
to the landing
future little
team,
scientists
and
and
it looks
engineers.
like team
Thank you
leaders
so
in
much for
mission
joining
control
us here
are
today,
about
Lori.
to talk
my
to
pleasure.
both
Thanks.
teams.
Back to
So
you,
let's
Raquel,
listen
for
in.
another mission update.
The CBM
Thanks,
change,
Marina. The
as I
cruise
mentioned
team for
previously, is
Perseverance
to the
controls
EDL
the
reserve
rover on its way to Mars.
non-coherent
And
activity.
moments ago, they handed
Copy,
it
flight.
over to the landing team.
EDL phase,
And
go ahead.
it looks like team
Okay.
leaders in mission control are about to talk to both teams.
talk, I guess,
So
to the
let's
team?
listen in.
Right.
The
You know
CBM
I'm
change,
terrible at
as I mentioned previously, is to the EDL
Reputation
reserve
precedes me
two-way
there, and
non-coherent activity.
look, I know this hasn't been easy, right? I'm not even sure we've even been all in the same room at the same
EDL
time.
phase, go
I mean,
ahead.
I'm staring at folks across the internet as well. Even now, right talk, I guess, to the team. Right. You know I'm terrible at talks. I think you. Reputation precedes me there, and I do want to just extend. Look, I know this hasn't been easy, right? I'm not even sure we've even been all in the same room at the same time. I mean, I'm staring at folks. You've done everything you've asked for, right? Across the internet as well. You've battled anomalies, even now, right? You know, dealt with Cepheids. You've done everything. You delivered a healthy spacecraft to the place that we want to go. Okay. And she's right on target, right? I do want to just extend my heartfelt appreciation from the EDL team, in my opinion, to the launch cruise team. And she's armed with the right information. You've done everything we've asked for, doing the founder update. You've battled anomalies. We're ready to roll. You've done everything with Cepheids. You've done everything. And you've put up with us. You delivered a healthy spacecraft with our eccentricities to the place that we want to go. The things we like to do. And she's right on target, right? So you did the last maneuver literally 2 months ago. So you guys just pretty in on Friday, in my opinion. And she's armed with the right information to help us land. Doing the thanks for literally and figuratively putting us in the right position. You've done everything right. And you've put up with us on Mars together. Put up with our eccentricities and the things we like to do in EDL land. So I very much appreciate that.
I also would like to thank
so you all should sleep in on Friday since
EDL,
you guys have earned it.
EDL team and the surface.
Thanks for literally and figuratively putting us in the right position to succeed.
It's been an amazing journey. I think we all know that.
Let's land on Mars together.
It's been my honor and pleasure to work with you all side by side. And your
I
tireless
also would like to
efforts
thank the
and
whole team.
endurance in the face
Cruise ops
of our challenges has been truly inspiring. And the surface ops as well. Kudos to you. It's been an amazing journey. I think we all know that. And
just echoing
it's
the
been
same
my honor
words
and pleasure
that,
to work with
that
you
Al
all
and
side by
Maggie
side.
have mentioned.
And your
you guys have
tireless
overcome
efforts
great
and
obstacles in the last
face
6.5 months,
of
and
our
it
challenges
started with an
has been
earthquake in this
truly
room on launch
inspiring.
day at
So,
L-minus 20 minutes.
Kudos to you.
So
Mission,
I
would you
can't
like
be
to
more
say something?
proud than all of the
just
achievements
echoing the
that you
same
guys
words
that
pulled
Al
off
and Maggie
in the last
have mentioned. You Whatever guys have happens in the overcome next great hour and a obstacles half in the last 6.5 months.
You can be
months,
proud
and
of the
it
achievements
started
that
with
you've
an earthquake
accomplished so
in this
far.
room on launch
I look
day
forward to seeing
at
you on
L-minus
the
20
other
minutes.
side.
And I only wish that the rest of our
can't
team
be
could
more
be sharing
proud
this moment with
than
this.
all of the
This is a
achievements
very
that you guys
unusual
have
event pulled off. This room is only half as full as it
Whatever
would be
happens in the next
if we weren't
hour
in
and a
this
half,
pandemic. So
you can be
proud
missing
of the
everybody
achievements that you've
not with us
accomplished
here
so far.
today.
I look forward to seeing you on the other side. And I only wish that the
Welcome
rest of
to
our
the
team
family.
could be sharing this moment with us. This is a very unusual event. This room is only half as full as it would be if we weren't in this pandemic. So
And
missing
with that,
everybody on the
Godspeed,
team who's not
perseverance.
with us here today. And go EDL.
All right, activity.
Welcome to the EDL
Go ahead
family.
and continue the report.
Sure thing, Mike. We've since completed the EDL start anchor. As I was mentioning, we changed our CBM row to EDL
And with
reserve
that,
2-way
Godspeed,
non-coherent.
perseverance.
That row reinforces our CBM windows to stable.
All right, activity.
Keeps our packetization on.
Go ahead and continue
turns
the
off our
report.
ranging and switches
Sure
to
thing,
the
Mike.
auxiliary
We've
oscillator.
since completed the
We've
EDL
also
start
started our
anchor.
real-time data product. As I was mentioning, we changed our CBM row to EDL reserve 2-way non-coherent.
Now,
That row
we just heard
reinforces our
Perseverance team
CBM
leaders
windows to
thank the
stable,
cruise team
keeps
for
our
their work
packetization
in
on,
guiding the
it
rover
turns
to
off our
Mars.
ranging and switches
Now,
to the
did you know the
auxiliary
rover name
oscillator.
and Mars
We have also
helicopter
started
name
our
came from
real-time data
students?
product
Well, a
and
couple weeks ago,
reinforced that
Marina was able to catch up with them.
At this time, we
Now,
Thanks,
we
Raquel.
just heard
Earlier
Perseverance
this
team
year,
leaders
NASA
thank
and
the
our
cruise
partners
team
held a
for their work
nationwide
in
essay
guiding the
contest
rover
to
to
name
Mars.
our Mars
Now,
rover.
did you know the rover
Alex
name
Mather, a
and
7th
Mars
grader from
helicopter name
Springfield,
came from
Virginia,
students?
submitted the
Well, a
winning
couple
essay
weeks ago,
that was
Marina
selected
was
by
able to
NASA
catch up
from a
with them.
field of more than 28,000
Raquel.
entries.
Earlier
From
this
K
year,
through 12
NASA and our
students in every
partners held a
state in the
nationwide
US.
essay
Vanessa
contest to
Rupani's
name
essay
our
for Ingenuity
rover
was
was
so compelling.
Alex Mather, a
NASA
7th
thought it would
grader
be
from
a
Springfield,
perfect name
Virginia,
for the
submitted
history-making
the winning
helicopter,
essay
a
that was
technology
selected by
demonstration
NASA
carried
from a
aboard
field
the
of more than
Perseverance rover.
28,000
Alex and Vanessa join us now.
From K
Welcome,
through
you
12
guys.
students in
Hello,
every
space
state in
nerds.
the U.S. Vanessa Rupani's essay for Ingenuity was
Now,
so
you got to
compelling.
go to Florida
NASA
and
thought it would
watch
be
the
a
launch
perfect name for
live
the
back in
history-making
July.
helicopter.
Alex, what were you
a technology
feeling as you saw that
demonstration
rocket
carried
launch into
aboard
the sky?
Perseverance
I
rover.
read
Alex
a lot
and
of
Vanessa
books
join us
written
now.
by astronauts.
Welcome, you guys.
And every
Hello,
single
space
one of them
nerds.
always talks about the raw power
Now,
behind
you got
the
to go to
space
Florida
launch.
and watch the
And
launch
I definitely
live
feel
back
like
in
watching
July.
the launch
Alex, what were you
invoked that
feeling as you
sense
saw that
of-
rocket launch into the sky?
Well, I read
Inspiration
a lot of
mixed
books
with
written by
anticipation,
astronauts, and
along with that
every
rumbling
single
in my
one of
chest.
them always
That's
talks
very
about the
inspirational,
raw
and I'm sure
power
that you have
behind
had
the
many
space launch.
conversations with your
And
classmates
I definitely
since
feel
this all
like watching
began.
the launch
What kind of questions have they
invoked that
asked you?
sense of
I got some people asking me about
well,
what this
inspiration
helicopter is, what
mixed
this
with
rover is, what are
anticipation,
they actually going to
along
do.
with that rumbling
So
in my
I love
chest.
that this whole
That's
experience
very
sparked a greater interest
inspirational,
and
and I'm
mission in my
sure
community.
that you have had
Why do
many
you think it's so
conversations
important
with
for
your
kids to be
classmates since this
inspired
all
by
began.
space exploration?
What kind of questions have they
Because
asked you?
space is the
I got some
future,
people
and
asking me
kids are
about
the future.
what this helicopter
Learning
is,
about
what this
space
rover is,
and
what are they
watching the
actually going to
story of
do.
humanity
So I
spread
love
to the
that this
stars
whole
happen
experience sparked
is
a greater
watching the
interest in the mission
future
in my
happen
community.
and seeing
Why do you
history
think it's so
unfold.
important for
The
kids to
best
be
way
inspired
to
by
keep
space
our home
exploration?
safe and protect our
Because
planet is to
space
learn
is
from
the
the worlds
future,
around it.
and
So I
kids
think
are
it's
the
really
future.
important for the next
Learning
generation of
about
scientists to
space
be
and
engaged
watching
in
the
that type of
story of
exploration to make our
humanity
home the
spread
best
to the
place it can
stars
be.
happen is watching
Now,
the
speaking
future
of the
happen
future,
and
what
seeing
has your life
history
been like
unfold.
since naming the
The
rover and
best way
helicopter?
to
Has it
keep our
sparked
home
any
safe and
future
protect our planet
aspirations
is
for
to
the two
learn
of
from the
you?
worlds around it. So I think
Oh
it's really
man,
important for
I
the
am
next
currently
generation of
applying
scientists to be
to a
engaged in that
science
type of
and
exploration to
technology
make our
school for
home the
high
best place
school.
it can be.
I'm hoping for a NASA
Now, speaking
internship
of the
sometime
future,
along the way,
what has your
with
life
my
been like
ultimate
since
goal
naming the
being to
rover and
join the
helicopter? Has it
incredible team of
sparked any
scientists and
future
engineers
aspirations
who
for the two
are
of you?
about to make this happen. Oh
This whole
man, I
experience
am
has definitely
currently
shown me that I
applying
want to
to
go
a
into the
science
space
and
industry.
technology
I came
school
home
for
from
high
Florida,
school.
did all my college
I'm hoping
applications
for
and
a
checked
NASA
aerospace
internship
engineering
sometime
on all
along
the
the way,
boxes.
with
I
my
mean, the whole
ultimate
time we were
goal
there, I
being
was
to
thinking, why would
join
anyone
the
want to do
incredible
anything else?
team of scientists and engineers
So
who
true,
are
and the
about to make this
best of
happen.
luck to both
This
of you.
whole
Thank
experience
you
has
so much
definitely
for
shown me
joining
that
us
I
here
want to go
today,
into the
Alex
space
and
industry.
Vanessa.
I came home from
Thank you for
Florida, did
having
all my
us.
the
As
whole
well as
time
the
we were
top
there, I was thinking, why would anyone want to do
155
anything else?
finalist essays are
So
riding
true,
on the
and
Perseverance
the best
rover,
of luck
along
to
with
both
nearly
of you.
11
Thank you so
million
much
of
for
the
joining
names
us
from
here
all
today,
over
Alex
the
and
world
Vanessa.
that were submitted before
Thank you for
launch.
having
And
us.
if you missed the
Thank you so
chance
much. I had a
to
great
get
time.
your name on Perseverance,
Now
then
your
you will
essays,
get
as
another
well as the
chance
top
to reserve a spot on the next mission to
155
Mars.
finalist
So make sure that
essays
you sign
are
up now
riding
at
on the
Mars.nasa.gov, along with nearly
for your
11
boarding
million
pass.
of the names from all over the world
As
that
virtual
were submitted
celebrations are
before
happening
launch.
all
If you
over
missed
the
the chance
globe,
to
let's
get
take a
your
look
name
at
on
some of your
Perseverance, then
submissions
you will
on
get
our
another
social
chance to
channels,
reserve a spot
showing
on the
us
next
how
mission
you're
to Mars.
celebrating
So
the
make sure that you
Perseverance
sign up now
landing
at
right now. And remember
for
to
your boarding
hashtag
pass.
countdown to Mars and send those
As
in.
virtual
We would
celebrations
love
are
to show
happening
them
all
off.
over the globe.
Let's take a look at some
these
of your
kids.
submissions
They are getting
on our
so
social
excited.
channels,
Everyone's
showing us
watching
how
it.
you're
A lot of
celebrating the
classrooms are watching
Perseverance
it.
landing
And great,
right
someone
now.
did a
and
Lego
remember
version
to
of
hashtag
Perseverance,
countdown
which is
to Mars
awesome.
and send
It
those
looks
in. We would
fantastic.
love
We
to
love
show
getting all
them
your
off.
pictures out there. We've gotten a lot of artwork
Look at these
from
kids,
which has
they are
been
getting
great.
so
I know I have a
excited.
9-year-old
9-year-old
Everyone's
John at
watching
home,
it.
and he loves
a lot
to draw
of
the
classrooms
rover.
are watching it. Oh,
And look at that.
Someone
That is
did
awesome.
a
That's better
Lego
than anything I
version
could
of
bake, that's for sure.
Perseverance, which is
Perseverance
awesome.
in a cake.
It looks
That
fantastic.
looks so great.
We
Delicious.
love getting
I
all
wanna
your
get into
pictures out
that.
there. We've gotten a lot of artwork from kids.
Another
which has
great
been
send-in
great. I know I have a
from
9-year-old
David
John
Bowie
at home,
Reel.
and he loves to draw the rover. And look
Thank
at
you
that.
so much for
That
your
is
submissions.
awesome.
Remember,
That's better than
hashtag
anything I
Countdown
could
to
bake.
Mars.
That's
We
for
love
sure.
to see how you're
Perseverance
celebrating
in a cake.
Now, you might know our
That
next
looks
guest
so
from
great.
shows
Delicious.
like
I
Emily's
wanna get
Wonder
into
Lab.
that.
Joining me now is Emily Kellandrelli.
Another great
Thank you
send-in
so much for
from
being here
David
with
Bowie
us today.
Reel.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so now much you for your
are very
submissions. Remember,
passionate
hashtag
about getting
Countdown
kids
to Mars.
interested
We
in
love
science
to see how
and
you're
space
celebrating.
exploration.
Now you might
Why do
know
you
our
think
next
kids
guest
are
from
so
shows like
excited
Emily's
about
Wonder
space?
Lab. Joining me now is
Well, I know
Emily
the reason I'm
Calendrelli.
excited about
Thank
space,
you
and I think
so
it's
much
the
for
same
being
reason that
here
many
with us
others are
today.
excited about space, and it's
Hi,
that
thanks so
the
much for
people
having
in the
me.
space industry
Now you are
work
very
to answer
passionate
two
about getting
of the
kids
biggest
interested in
questions that
science and
humans
space
have ever
exploration.
asked.
Why
Are
do you
we
think
alone in
kids
the
are
universe,
so
and
excited about
where
space?
did we all come from? And by
Well, I
sending
know
a
the
rover
reason
to
I'm
Mars,
excited
we are
about space,
gaining
and I think it's the
evidence
same reason that
for
many
the
others are
answers to
excited
these
about
questions,
space, more
and it's
evidence than we
that
ever
the
had
people
before,
in the
and
space
I think
industry
that's so
work to
exciting.
answer two of the biggest
It
questions
is,
that
and I know you
humans
get
have
loads
ever
of
asked.
interesting
Are we
questions
alone
from
in the
kids.
universe?
Have you gotten any
and
about Mars
where
specifically?
did we all come from?
Oh
and
my
by
gosh,
sending a
yes.
rover to
Everybody
Mars,
loves
we are
Mars. It's in
gaining
movies
evidence
and books
for
and
the
TV
answers
shows,
to
and
these
everybody loves
questions.
Mars.
So
More
one of the
evidence
things
than
that
we ever
I
had
get asked a
before, and
lot
I
is that,
think
you know,
that's
it's
so
called the
exciting.
red planet. Why is it red?
It is,
Well, it's
and I
red
know you
because
get
it's
loads of
literally
interesting
rusty.
questions
The
from
top
kids.
layer
Have
of
you gotten any
soil
about
on
Mars
Mars has
specifically?
iron oxide in it.
Oh
or
my gosh,
rust, and
yes.
rust has
Everybody
that
loves
brownish
Mars. It's in
red color.
movies
So
and
it's
books and
red
TV
because
shows,
it's rusty.
and everybody loves Mars.
And
So
also
one of the
because
things
it's
that I
red,
get asked
they
a lot
ask,
is that,
is it
you know,
red
it's called
hot?
the red
Is it really
planet.
hot on Mars?
Why is it
And
red?
no,
Well, it's
actually,
red
because
colder
it's
than the
literally
Earth. It's farther
rusty.
away
The
from
top
the sun,
layer
so
of
as you would
soil
imagine,
on
it's a little bit
Mars has
colder than
iron
the Earth.
oxide in
It
it.
also has
or
a really
rust,
thin
and rust has that
atmosphere.
brownish
So
red
the heat
color.
that it
So
does
it's
have, it
red
has a
because
hard
it's
time
rusty.
keeping in.
And also because
so
it's
it's a little
red,
bit
they
colder.
ask,
But then
is
I
it
also
red
get
hot?
asked, what
Is
would
it
I
really
weigh
hot on Mars?
on
And
Mars?
well,
That's
no,
a really fun
actually,
question.
it's colder
So
than the
on
Earth.
Mars,
It's
it's
farther
a little
away
bit
from the sun,
smaller
so
than
as
the
you would
Earth, so
imagine,
the
it's a little
gravity
bit
there is
colder than the Earth.
about
It also has a
3/8
really
the gravity that
thin
we have here on
atmosphere.
Earth.
So if you
the
weigh
heat that
100
it
pounds
does
here on
have,
Earth,
it
you
has a
weigh
hard
38
time
pounds
keeping
on
in.
Mars, or 100
And so it's a little bit
colder.
38
But then I
kilograms
also
on
get
Mars.
asked, what would I weigh on Mars?
Those are all
That's a
super
really
fun.
fun
I think even
question.
some
So
adults want to know
on
the
Mars,
answers
it's a
to
little
those
bit
questions.
smaller
Emily.
than the Earth, so the
Now,
gravity
why do
there
you
is
think
weaker.
it's
It's
so
about
important to
3/8 the
educate
gravity
kids
that we
about
have here
science
on
and
Earth.
give
So
them
if you
that
weigh
great
100 pounds
foundation?
here on Earth, you weigh 38 pounds
Well,
on Mars, or
science
100 kilograms
is the
here on Earth,
language of
38
nature,
kilograms
and
on
learning
Mars.
about science and learning how to think
Those are
like
all
a
super fun.
scientist
I think even
means
some
you are
adults
learning
want to
how
know
to
the answers to those
systematically
questions,
seek
Emily.
out truth
Now,
in the
why do you
world.
think
You are
it's so
learning the
important to
scientific method.
educate
You're
kids
learning how
about
to be a
science
critical
and
thinker.
give them that
And
great
honestly, those
foundation?
skills are great for whatever you end up wanting to do in life.
Science is the language of
True,
nature.
if you want to be a
and learning about
scientist or an
science
opera
and learning
singer,
how to
that
think like a
holds true.
scientist
What are you most
means
excited
you are
about
learning
today?
how to systematically seek
I
out
mean,
truth in
humans
the
are
world. You are
launching a
learning the
robot to
scientific
Mars.
method. You're
That
learning how to be a
doesn't
critical
happen every day.
thinker.
I think in
And
all of
honestly,
the
those skills
that
are
is
great
going on
for
today, and all
whatever
of
you
the
end up
nerves,
wanting to do in
I
life.
just
If everyone can take a
True,
moment
if you want to be a
sit back
scientist or
and
an
going on today, and all of the nerves.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone can
Sending
take
it
a
back
moment
to you
to
now,
sit
Raquel.
back and remember
Thanks,
that we
Marina.
live in a time
We are
when
offering
humans have the
lots of
ability to
ways
send
to
a
ride
robot
along
to
with us to
another
Mars.
planet, and
Now
that
put
is
yourself
just that's
right
so
into
cool
the
to me.
action. (1997). And for joining us now is JPL Chief Engineer and Landing Veteran Rob Manning. He will be breaking down key moments coming up, and very few people know more about landing on Mars than Rob, going back to the Pathfinder mission in 1997. For you, there is a landing tradition at JPL that involves eating peanuts for good luck. Can you tell us how did that start?
Yes, it started in the mid-1960s. What happened was, we had a series of missions that got here, Ranger program in the early 1960s.
Rob, I have a question for you. There is a landing tradition at JPL that involves eating peanuts for good luck.
Ranger number
Can you tell us how did that start?
Decided to start in peanuts to the oxygen just before the hit a series of missions that had failed. Decided to bring peanuts to the oxygen just before the So this is something we will do this year right now. Now, we're not supposed to be into something that we just can't put engineers and scientists part of the experience. But we love tradition. And ever since then,
Speaking of the experience,
before
how
launch,
did the
before critical
Perseverance
events
team
like
keep the
Independence Day,
tradition
we
alive
talk
this
about
year?
TIENES and share it with the team. And it's been really a wonderful little experience. And they can so this is something we
profile, we'll do a maneuver called heading alignment, where we point toward the target and phase. So these are called the entry balance masses. We also call this maneuver so we'll go ahead and adjust those masses when we get a trigger from the GNC system telling us that we're at the appropriate range to the target to do so. As soon as we deploy those, we will no longer have a CT offset, and we'll be ready to deploy the parachute 17 seconds later.
Right where the Perseverance team is sitting now, what's in store for them as we approach landing?
I'm going to hold here for EO prep as we're about to start that anchor.
Copy phase 2. And activity, please call that up when it's ready. Copy, please.
All right. Now, Rob, you've been right where the Perseverance team is sitting now. What's in store for them as we approach landing?
Well, this is the nail-biting time. Fortunately, we still have ones and zeros coming, but very soon, as we approach cruise stage separation, the transmitter on this rover we've been using all the way to get to Mars is going to be turned off. And we will lose the ability to see ones and zeros. But the good thing is, once the cruise stage is gone, there's another radio that will continue transmitting a tone. So like a flashlight that will allow us to at least see that the vehicle is still on, and that color of that flashlight tells us a little bit what state the rover's in. But soon after that, it won't be very long before we'll be able to hear more ones and zeros coming from the spacecraft. So this is a really exciting time, and it's just important to remind people there's a lot that can go wrong in a day like today. There are thousands of things that have to go right.
Yeah, we had success in the past landing on Mars. You'd think it gets easier, but it really doesn't. Why is it still so difficult?
Well, because it involved thousands and thousands of things, hundreds of thousands of lines of code, there is there's 79 pyrotechnic devices. Each have to work perfectly. One critical wire short, or one key thing mechanism that doesn't work or breaks, and it's mission over. And so it's, you know, and it's very easy. We're human beings. We're not perfect. Mistakes can be made. We count on each other to find our own mistakes, and we work very hard to learn from mistakes of the past. We've had many failures. Remind people, roughly half, around half of the missions to Mars over history have failed. And so that could happen today too. Even though we've had a nice, wonderful string of successes in the United States, it's still still a bit of a gamble. A gamble that we have hoped that we have erred in the side of luck, and we've stacked the deck and loaded the dice to make this thing succeed. But if we do fail, and something bad happens today, I can tell you, we're going to learn. We'll have the data that tell us what happened. We'll know why. We'll figure it out. And if we are allowed, we will pick ourselves up and get us back on the horse. And if Congress and NASA allow, we will try again. As we always do, we will learn from our mistakes.
And what are the possible scenarios we could be looking at today?
Well, there's... Getting the descent engine started, there's 8 to control during entry, another 8 to control it during landing. I said, it's a lot of stuff, and it all has to work. But guess what? We haven't done this before with this vehicle ever. This is this first attempt to actually land. We can't try this on Earth. We can't do. We don't have test pilots to try it out on this planet before the big show. So this vehicle is doing it for the first time. We've done the best testing we can do in bits and pieces, but you know, it's as best as we can do. But I think our team is up to it. This team is the best. It's a diverse, intelligent, amazing group of people. People from all over the world who worked on. It is just an incredible, remarkable engineering achievement, and I am just so proud of this team.
Thanks, Rob. Now, let's listen back into mission control.
Flight, we're about 14 minutes from entry interface. The vehicle is currently preparing the heat rejection system that has kept the thermal system cool inside the air shell for about the last 6 months. This will allow the spacecraft to more easily cut the line in upcoming cruise stage separation, which is under 4 minutes now.
We have now enabled the rover pyro button.
That's the pyrotechnic system that was.
We are powering off the cruise stage devices.
And these are the things in the cruise stage that we no longer need. With the pyrotechnic system working, we can explode the devices.
The vehicle is preparing for the upcoming cruise stage separation in about 3 minutes 15 seconds by powering off all the devices on the cruise stage in order that they can be safe once the ship is jet-free.
Yeah, this cruise stage has been very reliable.
We are firing our first pyros to vent the HRS liquid and gas.
This has been the coolant as we kept the vehicle from getting too hot on the way to Mars. We have to vent it into space. And so this is one of the first major events that take place as part of entry, descent, landing.
The HRS vent anchor is complete. Yes. We will see the next anchor in approximately 3 minutes.
Okay.
We are currently 12.5 minutes from entry interface. We are coming upon cruise stage separation in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
What's happening now, Rob?
Okay, well, we're just waiting. The rover is completely in charge. It's doing all the things we've taught it how to do. It's all built into the software. We've tested it over and over and over again. This team has spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week testing this thing for years. And so this is This is really the culmination of all that work. So this vehicle is getting ready to push that cruise stage away. Once it gets pushed away, the entry system with the rover inside, but the rover is still in charge, is going to get ready to take the vehicle, turn it to the right orientation, and aim it to Mars and prepare for entering the atmosphere. This won't be long. Be prepared for this event.
We're about a minute and a half from cruise stage separation, about 11 minutes, 20 seconds from entry interface.
Okay, so it's about 10 minutes from cruise stage separation till hitting the top of the atmosphere. From then on and out, things happen fast.
Telemetry will have stopped.
Telecom is confirming that the spacecraft has switched to broadcasting tones. These tones are received directly from Perseverance, but have very limited information content. We won't receive real-time information until about 9-10 minutes from now, once the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter starts relaying information from Perseverance. We are under a minute from cruise stage separation, about 10.5 minutes from entry interface.
It's getting exciting. I have to admit, I am quite anxious, but very hopeful that this machine is going to do what we asked it to do.
You're seeing the heartbeat tones.
Okay, that means that there's no more ones and zeros coming. It's just the vehicle telling us it's still alive.
They're continuing to receive tones from Perseverance, standing by for cruise stage separation. We have indication that cruise stage separation has been confirmed by the spacecraft.
We're off on a good start.
In about 1 minute, Perseverance's landing software will wake up and begin the signal preparations for entry. The first action it will do is to fire warm-up pulses with its entry thrusters. These pulses ensure that as the spacecraft gets the thrust that it wants during entry interface. We're about 9 minutes from entry interface.
Okay, so now the vehicle's on its own. It's turning itself in the direction of facing the heat shield toward Mars, and will eventually hitting the top of the atmosphere. We're not far away. This is going to go very quickly from here on out.
That's confirmation that got shadowed by the cruise stage as it passed through our beam to the Earth.
Telecom indicated actually that we could see a signal that the cruise stage went between the Perseverance entry capsule and Earth. So we saw a little blip, the data stream indicating cruise stage separation. We have confirmation that the vehicle has started warming up those entry thrusters. Warm-up pulses have begun. At this point, the spacecraft is trying to stop its spin from the cruise 2 revolutions per minute down to 0, and then will turn to its desired orientation from entry. It will separate the 2 balance maps that have kept it balanced during all of cruise. This will allow the entry capsule to have lift when it enters the atmosphere. We have confirmation that the spacecraft has turned to the desired entry attitude. We're about 7.5 minutes from entry interface.
Okay, the vehicle is pointed in the right direction. Thrusters are warmed up and doing their job. And now we've spun down from 2 revolutions per minute that the vehicle had the whole way to Mars as a spin-stabilized spacecraft. And then from here on out, it's going to just be a bullet, and it's going to control its orientation and attitude via rockets on the back of that batch.
Points carrier lock. The DTE from Radio Science from Green Bank reports carrier lock.
We see the carrier in the dome. Flight level 1.
We are continuing to wait for entry interface for about 6 minutes and 45 seconds for entry interface. We have confirmation from Greenback that they are receiving direct to Earth telemetry via that path. The spacecraft Perseverance is currently transmitting heartbeat tones. These tones indicate that Perseverance is operating normally and has nothing significant to report. Just as expected. We're currently just over 6 minutes from entry interface.
Okay, and now we wait. As soon as we get to the top of the atmosphere, it will be very quickly, which is the entry point. It won't be very long before the atmosphere will start getting thicker and thicker. It's going very quickly at a fairly steep angle of 15 degrees into the atmosphere, and as it starts to slow down.
We're just under, we're about 5.5 minutes from entry interface. We're still receiving heartbeat tones. We expect to continue receiving heartbeat tones until about 5 minutes after entry. At that time, Perseverance will be no longer in view of our antennas here on Earth. About 90 seconds prior to entry, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should begin receiving telemetry from Perseverance and streaming it to Earth in near real time. There are a few expected short outages, such as when we have a plasma blackout or when we enter the peak heating phase. Aside from these outages caused by plasma blackout, antenna switching, or high dynamic events, spacecraft events, we should have telemetry until about 90 seconds after landing. A plasma blackout is when the signal from Perseverance isn't strong enough to make it through the superheated, super fast air flowing around the spacecraft all the way down to Earth. Once the temperature drops below that peak heating, we do reacquire the signal from Perseverance. We are currently about 4.5 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance continues to report heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
Okay, what we're looking for now is Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should be in view soon of our vehicle and be able to listen to ones and zeros coming from a separate radio that's really designed to talk between spacecraft.
MRO reports the electro radio is powered on, ready to receive signals from the lander.
Okay. MRO is ready and able and waiting for to hear from our rover.
Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has reported that it's ready to receive the signals from Perseverance. It should be in a few minutes here. We're just
Flight level 1
from entry interface.
We don't need these ones and zeros, as Swati said, but to land safely, but we really need it for our own health and well-being today to keep our nerves in control.
Around this time, a second spacecraft, Maven, should begin picking up telemetry from Perseverance and will continue to record that telemetry until several minutes post-landing. We won't get that data for landing as it's being recorded and then will be forwarded to Earth later. We are continuing to receive heartbeat tones, indicating that everything is nominal. We're currently at about 3 minutes until entry interface.
Okay.
We are 2 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance is to transmit heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
So the tones can tell us whether something's bad or not is happening. So far the heartbeat is doing well. So the vehicle thinks it's in good shape to land, which is a great sign.
We're just under 2 minutes from entry interface. As it gets closer to Mars, Perseverance is actually being pulled in by gravity and accelerating. By the time Perseverance reaches entry interface point, she should be going just under 5.4 kilometers per second. We're at about 90 seconds from entry interface and standing by for Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to pick up the telemetry. We are 1 minute from entry interface.
MROs are in receive mode.
We have confirmation that the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is now relaying data from Perseverance. We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm your jet data flow.
About seconds from entry interface. 5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The spacecraft is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target. Navigation is also confirming that we can see a little bit of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
The vehicle should be doing its turns right now.
MRO has lost lock.
Perseverance. We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
MRO has lock again.
We saw a small outage of the UHF telemetry from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, but to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target. Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
MRO's reporting good telemetry log.
We are coming upon the straighten up. We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver, where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Yes, yes, yes.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars. Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perseverance now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers of the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
Almost there.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Yes.
We have priming of the landing engines. Current velocity is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about a kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN Safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars. We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct to Earth tones.
As expected. As expected.
Sky crane maneuver has started. About 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO.
UHF is good.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life. At this point, the descent stage has flown away to a safe distance. Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct through Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Earth.
Oh my God.
More reports, they're still getting telemetry from the lander.
All right, all stations.
We got it.
Touchdown confirmed. We're going to wait for the images.
Wow.
This is so exciting. The team is beside themselves. It's so surreal. Stay tuned. We might get some pictures.
That'd be great.
So much has been riding on this.
Yeah, we just heard the news that Perseverance is alive on the surface of Mars.
It's not Flight, we have seen the completion of EDL 3000.
Copy activity. That is as expected.
MRO is still seeing a strong signal from the lander.
We have just heard the news that Perseverance is alive on the surface of Mars. Congratulations to the mission. And looks like we have some more news in. It looks like we're getting the first image. Here, take a look at the first image.
We are ready, OL3. Go for it. Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in.
Just put the first image from Perseverance on the surface of Mars. Now it comes from the engineering cameras known as the hazard camera. This camera is mainly used to help the rover drive safely around Mars, and we will get higher resolution photos later in the day.
Look at that, right? You get the safe.
Look at the orange. Nice. This is amazing.
Here's Andrew.
For Steve. Stand by for Steve.
You did it. You did it. You did. You led the team. You made it happen. Congratulations,
We just got our second image in. Our second image is in.
Okay, these we have a camera in the front and rear of the spacecraft. They're near the ground, so these are pretty close. So you can see the wheels there, and they're a little dirty because we've got glass covers over these cameras. But we took these seconds after landing, so there's still dust in the air from our landing event. So this is happening. This happened just seconds ago. Just arrived, and this is really amazing. And we even know where we landed. This is the most amazing thing. The vehicle has told us where it's landed because it figured it out. You know, this is a sign. NASA works. NASA works. And when we put our arms together and our hands together and our brains together, we can succeed. This is what NASA does. This is what we can do as a country on all of the problems we have. We need to work together to do these kinds of things and make success happen.
Joining us now is the acting administrator of NASA, Steve Jurczyk. Steve, welcome and congratulations.
Hey, thank you. What an amazing day.
And how does it feel to have another rover on Mars?
It's amazing to have Perseverance join Curiosity on Mars, and what just a credit to the team. I mean, just what an amazing team to work through all the adversity that goes and all the challenges that go with landing a rover on Mars, plus the challenges of COVID, and just an amazing accomplishment.
And what does this mean for NASA and its future plans?
So for robotic exploration, every time we execute a mission with new instruments, we discover new things and things we never thought we would discover. So that always informs our future robotic missions, both landers, rovers, and orbiters. This mission also has technology on it. One of the cool things is the Ingenuity helicopter. It's an experiment on this mission, but if it's successful, we can use it as an science observation platform by putting instruments on it, and also use it as a scout for future rover missions, and then just the entry, descent, and landing capability. It'll allow us to land more larger, more ambitious robots on the surface of Mars. And then for human exploration, we have the Mars Entry, Descent, and Landing Instrumentation, which is going to give us EDL information. We have the Mars Environmental Dynamics Analyzer. It's going to give us size and properties of dust particles, because when we send people, we're going to have to deal with that dust. This is just an incredible mission because of the science and the technology, and then caching samples for our Mars Sample Return mission. That will be an amazing mission, the first round trip to Mars and back, and bringing those samples cached by Perseverance back to Earth to examine with state-of-the-art equipment in our laboratories here on Earth.
We have so much to look forward to. And we also have a student question coming in from Landon. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Landon Applegate. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm going to Academy for Academic Excellence. And my question is, do you think we could get resources from Mars to help on future missions, or even as like a launching point?
Great question, Landon. Actually, we have an experiment called the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, or MOXIE, and it's going to demonstrate generating oxygen from atmospheric CO2. And that could help generate breathable oxygen, and even if we can liquefy it, oxidizer for propulsion systems. So that's a tech demo on Perseverance. And then we're going to continue to characterize the frozen water on and below the surface of Mars, and eventually try to figure out how to extract that water from the Martian soil, or what we call regolith. And then we can use that for potable water, and also break it down into oxygen and hydrogen for rocket fuel. So absolutely, we're going to try to eventually figure out how to live off the land to support human missions to Mars.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today, Steve.
Thank you.
And now that Perseverance has safely touched down on Mars, let's learn more about what's in store for the rover. Joining us now is Surface Mission Manager Jessica Samuels. Jessica, your surface operations team has now taken over. What are they doing now?
Yes, hi Raquel. We are so excited here in the surface mission support area. The team will do a handover with the entry, descent, and landing team, and pass any critical information, and then this team behind us will be the team that does the health and safety assessments daily as we progress on this mission.
And what do the upcoming weeks look like for your team?
So as we enter Mars time now, the commanding team will be working overnight while the rover is asleep so that we can perform the initial checkouts of our key rover functions and our science instruments. And we have to do this all in time for the regularly scheduled communication pass, which happens in the morning. And so we will be working around the clock, making sure that Perseverance is healthy, and we will begin this exciting adventure.
And can you tell me, what's it like living on Mars time?
It's a little bit like constantly, flying and changing your time zone. The rover, on Earth, the rover wakes up at the same time every day, but on Earth, that's 40 minutes later. So the team is going to be shifting our work schedule by 40 minutes as we come into work over the next few weeks. So it'll be exciting and some late nights, but we're also excited and we can't wait.
It's a whole new lifestyle.
Yes.
We also have a student question for you. This is Sophia's video.
Hi, my name is Sofia Lopez, and my question for NASA is, how's Perseverance gonna survive? And here's a drawing that I made from Perseverance thinking about Earth. Thank you.
Well, Sophia, Perseverance survives with a power source that charges its batteries overnight while it sleeps, and it keeps heaters on so that all of our critical electronics can stay warm, as well as our mechanism. But it's really survived by the team that performs the health and safety assessments every day and communicates with the rover and makes sure that she's doing okay.
Well, thanks for your time, Jessica, and good luck living on Mars time.
Thank you. Should be fun.
Let's head back to Marina as she gives us a sneak peek into the future at JPL.
Thanks so much, Raquel. It's definitely bustling behind me. It's not quiet like it was just 20 minutes ago. And congrats to the whole team. What an amazing accomplishment. Mike Watkins is the director of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He was the mission manager during the Curiosity rover landing on Mars. Welcome, Mike.
Oh, thanks. Glad to be here. You can see all my mask markings on.
Well, you were just celebrating, and rightly so. Now, you've been around for a number of Mars landings. What makes this one special?
Well, two things. I mean, it's the biggest and best rover we've ever sent to Mars, and it can really, do amazing things in terms of, its own scientific exploration of this habitable environment, at Jezero. But, it's also, as you've heard today, it's the first step in Mars sample return. So really, it's not only doing its own mission, it's setting us up for a series of missions and to bring those samples back. And, a lot of the effort to develop the rover was specifically designed, for that sampling and caching system. It's one of the most complex robotic systems ever made. And, having it down safely means Mars sample return continues right on course, and we are moving forward.
Wonderful. Now, JPL has a long history with robotic space exploration. Why do you think it's so important to continue to push those boundaries?
There's a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously, for places that are far away, like Mars, and even farther away, like Europa, right now, robotic exploration is the only way we can make these scientific discoveries and really understand these early habitable environments. In the case of Europa, maybe it's even still habitable. And, we're not ready to go there with astronauts yet, but the robots are ready to go there. And so we always, are forerunners and pathfinders of human exploration. And we start by sending, our eyes and arms there in the form of a robot. And it is just fantastic to be able to do that and to learn from each rover, learn from the science and the engineering, and make the next one better and make more and more discoveries. And every time we do one of these missions, we make fabulous discoveries. And each one is more exciting than the last.
The future does look exciting. Now, as director of JPL, what would you like to say to those teams right now celebrating?
Oh, obviously they have earned it. Let me tell you. I mean, have worked, for years and years on this mission. And then in the past year, of course, we had the COVID experience. And I want to thank not only the team, but also, all of JPL. A lot of folks had to pitch in here, in terms of making sure our remote telework, our IT systems were good enough to support folks working from home. All of the folks looking at PPE and our safe distancing and reconfiguring facilities to make them safe for the employees. It's just an incredible amount of work by the entire lab, and of course, especially by this team. And and in one sense, the 7 minutes of terror are very exciting. But on the other hand, the mission's just started, right? We built the mission, not to land, but actually to drive and get the samples and do other technology, demonstrations. And so, for much of the team, this part of the mission's over. But for most of the team, the mission's really just starting. And so, I think they're very excited. But everybody, I think, can take a deep breath and a sigh of relief now that we are safely down on the surface.
Yes, that collective sigh of relief, and I hear a lot of excitement and celebration behind me as well. So thanks so much for joining me, Mike.
It's my pleasure, and thanks to everyone for joining us too.
Congrats again to the Mars 2020 Perseverance team for a successful landing. Back to you, Raquel.
Now, there will be a flight test coming up for the Ingenuity Mars helicopter, and if this technology experiment is successful, it would mark the first time we have taken a power-controlled flight on another planet.
Sometimes you have to do something just to show that you can do it. When the Wright brothers flew for the first time, they flew an experimental aircraft. And in the same way, the Mars helicopter is designed to show that we can fly powered helicopter flight in the Martian atmosphere.
From day one, this was the unwavering dream of our team, to get our helicopter launched to Mars so that we can get that opportunity to do that very first rotorcraft flight test in the actual environment of Mars. It's extremely difficult to fly at Mars because the atmosphere is so thin. Compared to Earth, at Mars it's less than 1%. So the first and foremost challenge is to make a vehicle that's light enough to be lifted. And then the second is to generate lift. The rotor system has just been very fast. 2,000, 2,200, 2,400, 2,600. We're spinning between 2,000 and 3,000 revolutions per minute, and it takes a lot of energy. So it's that balance of a very light system, yet having enough energy that's needed to, spin the rotor so fast to lift, and on top of it, having to design in the autonomy.
It has to be fully autonomous from the time it takes off to the time it lands. What we do on the ground is we plan the flights, and so we determine from here where we want the helicopter to go.
Our experiment window is 30 Martian days. So we have planned up to 5 flights of incremental difficulty.
The very first flight, the main thing is we want to get the legs off the ground, and so we will basically go up about 3 meters, and we'll hover there, and then we'll come down again, and that will be the first, really major milestone.
Most of our flights will be at the 3 to 5 meter height. We will be going horizontally again at a few meters per second, probably go out, 50, 70 meters and come back. In successive flights, we'll probably push that further, try to go further. So our priority will be to get back engineering telemetry and not so much images, but I'm sure we'll return a few, because they'll always look cool.
At this point, we've tested all we can on Earth. We have mathematical models that shows how it will fly at Mars, and we've tested it in the simulated environment that we can create on Earth. It really is time now to do the real flight test at Mars.
Nothing is a given, but we have done everything we can in terms of a test program here on Earth. The vehicle's performing extremely well so far. It's been doing exactly the right thing, even right now when it's bolted onto the Perseverance rover. So there's a very good chance that we'll pull it off, yes. But it's still high risk, and none of us forget that you could have a glitch that, could mean end of mission, yes.
It's going to be exciting, reacting to any surprises we have. We can't wait. What's really most important is everything we're learning here is for the future rotorcraft systems that we want to introduce into space exploration.
Mimi Ong is the project manager for Ingenuity. She joins us now as they await a chance to check out their helicopter in the coming days. Welcome, Mimi.
Thank you, Marina.
Oh my goodness, we've been talking about this for months, Mimi. Did you ever think you'd be here at this point? I mean, what's going on in your head right now?
This is super exciting. You know, we have been working on Mars helicopter for over 6 years, testing and carefully designing it for operation at Mars. So what's going through my mind? Ingenuity Mars helicopter is finally at the destination that it is designed for.
Now that Ingenuity is on Mars, what is the timeline you hope to accomplish as you move forward?
We have a series of major milestones between now and Ingenuity's first flight. So tomorrow we'll turn on the helicopter and its base station to confirm health after experiencing the dynamics through the EDL just now. And the next major milestone will be when the rover deploys the helicopter to the surface. And that marks the first moment that Ingenuity operates on its own in a standalone manner. And surviving that first cold, frigid night of Mars will be a major milestone. We'll execute a series of checkouts, and then we will perform that very important first flight. And if the first flight is successful, we have up to 4 more flights in the 30 Martian days that we have set aside for our flight experiments.
And that's when you finally can breathe, right, Mimi? Now, why is it so important to have that aerial dimension to space exploration?
A helicopter flying far ahead of places that we cannot get to with in the future rovers and astronauts can provide high definition, deep reconnaissance information for the rovers and the astronauts before they take the long journeys. And as importantly, being able to fly will enable us to get to places that we cannot get to with rovers and astronauts, like sites of steep cliffs, deep inside crevices, areas of high scientific interest. It will be game-changing.
Game-changing is right, and we've talked about this a lot. You've mentioned the risk is huge, Mimi, but the reward is high. What will be your greatest reward?
You know, our team started with the question of whether a helicopter can fly at Mars, given the extremely thin environment. And we systematically demonstrated a series of technical steps. We demonstrated lift first, and then we demonstrated lift and the first ever powered control rotorcraft flight in simulated Mars atmospheric density. And then we went on to build the full-up helicopter that can not only fly, but operate and survive autonomously at Mars, all under 1.8 kilograms, about 4 pounds. And each of these major milestones have been a first. And the success at each of these has been so rewarding. And along the way, the rewards just kept coming. And I have to tell you, at this moment, it's going up exponentially. So after all these tests, analysis, simulations, and more tests on Earth, our team now gets the chance to test, prove, and learn how it works in the actual environment of Mars. Our team can't ask for a bigger reward than that.
Oh, Mimi, I'm so happy for you and your team. And now we're going to take a question from social media on Instagram for you. At Not Vibhuti asks, is the helicopter going to be doing science?
Well, the helicopter Ingenuity is a technology demonstration, and we are demonstrating the ability to fly and learning how to fly for the very, very first time. And so this is a technology demonstration and a pathfinder for future larger rotorcraft, future missions that will carry much larger instruments. So on this mission, we're not doing any science. We're concentrating on engineering data. How did the vehicle perform? And as you saw Bob Belram in the video before, we will be taking a few first ever color pictures from the flying aerial vantage point, but they'll be icing on the cake. For this one, this is all about engineering data and how do we fly compared to all our tests we have done on Earth.
Mimi, so much for your team and the future generations of scientists and engineers to look forward to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mimi, and good luck to your team with that first test flight.
Thank you so much.
Now we look forward to the Perseverance rover and Ingenuity helicopter beginning their journeys on Mars as their adventures are just about to start. Go Perseverance and go Ingenuity. Back to you, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. Landing on Mars is never easy, but this team has persevered, and NASA's 5th rover is on the red planet. You can still hear them buzzing in the back right now. And to get the latest updates on Perseverance as it explores Mars, follow @NASA Persevere on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank everyone watching for joining us today. And to the students and teachers tuning in, we hope you learned a lot from today's landing, and thank you for all your questions. We have a news briefing coming up at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time. That briefing will wrap up the day and include reactions from Perseverance team members. We'll leave you now with some of the landing celebration photos you've shared with us, set to Youngblood's cover of David Bowie's Life on Mars. I'm Raquel Villanueva. Thanks for watching.
It's a god of a small affair. See the girl with the mousy hair, but her mommy is yelling no, and her daddy is told her to go.